everyone, it's Kerry back with you today. Whether you love them or hate them, our paper scraps are something that we end up with from almost every project. Today I'm going to show you a couple of projects that I like to do to help me use up some of my paper scraps and keep them in a bit more of an organised fashion, so when I'm looking for an embellishment or a finished piece to add to a journal or another project, I don't have to go hunting through my scraps to find something that's suitable. So let's get started. So for today's project, really all you need is some scraps and some larger pieces. It could be a scrap piece of paper, or it could be just some plain A4 paper, book pages, anything you like, a glue stick or some kind of glue. And if you want to, you can also have a stamp or a couple of different stamps and stencils, which will just add a bit more interest to your scraps as we build them on our pages. So as you can see on this finished one here, I have each one of my clusters on its own little panel, like this. So in order to give me the size of my panel, I just start folding my paper. So for this particular piece of paper, I'll fold it in half. I could work on that and have two very large clusters, but I think I'll fold it in half again. And then the creases just give me a guide as to where I want to place my scraps on each of these little panels. So now that I have my panels worked out, I'm going to go ahead and add some stamping into the background. Now you can completely skip this step. You don't have to add any stamping. I just like to add it for a little bit more interest. And when I'm stamping, I make sure that I'm getting a little bit of the stamp on each of the panels in different places. So each one of those has a little bit of stamping on. And then I might actually go in with this stencil as well and just add a little bit of stenciling. But again, you can completely skip this step if you'd prefer. So now I have some stamped and stenciled texture going on in the background, and you can see that each little panel, if I fold that up, has a little bit of both the stamping and the stenciling. So now it's time to bring in my scraps, and I've got some here, just some music paper, a book page, some brown paper, and I'm just going to start tearing my scraps into strips that will be a suitable size for my panel. So they will be fine. This one already looks like it's alright. Bit of brown paper for that one. Now you can build your scraps all the same, so each one would have the same sort of scrap, but I just tend to grab whatever I've got and stick it down, unless I'm using it for a particular themed project. And another bit of that music paper there. Alright, so at this point you can glue them down just using a glue stick or whatever your favourite adhesive is, or you could take them to your sewing machine and you could actually just stitch them on. Now these ones I made very skinny little strips, and then I've just attached them to the paper with a row of stitching down the middle. But for the ease of today and for those people that don't have a sewing machine, I'm just going to use my glue stick to stick those down. So now I have this page with the little scraps already glued on. It's just ready for its focal point. So I could go ahead and attach the focal points now, like I did with this one here where I've added some mushrooms and then I've also added some tickets, or you can just leave them like this so that when you're ready to work on a project, you can bring in your embellishments and decide what you might want to pop onto your scrap cluster to suit the project that you're working on. So it's a great, quick and easy project, and I find it much easier to have my scraps or beginnings of my scrap clusters stored like this so that I can easily flick through and see what's going to be suitable for my project or for my idea. It's great for the days, when you're struggling a bit with your mojo, to just sit there and glue down a few bits of paper. It can be very inspiring. And then you've got all these lovely clusters ready to go for your next project. So I hope you found that helpful. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.